We welcome you inside the Mello Center on the campus of Syracuse University for College Tip-Off 2025 Syracuse Basketball Edition. So pleased to be joined by the rest of our News Channel 9 sports team. Mario Sacco, Maddie Mustian, we cover the orange on the TV side of things. And then Mike Waters, Hall of Fame sports writer for Syracuse.com. On the very end there, Mike's been doing this more than 30 years covering this program. And Mike, we'll start with you. You haven't seen this in your time covering the team. This hasn't happened in 50 plus years, where Syracuse has missed the NCAA tournament 4 seasons in a row. It feels like NCAA tournament or bust. I know you were here at Media Day a few days back. It also seems like the coaches and players are embracing that. They know what's at stake here.
They do, and especially Adrian Autry. To hear him talk about he's not shying away from making the tournament. We asked him what is the meaningful games in March phrase that John Wildhack used earlier in the year. What did that mean to him? And he said it's making the tournament, and that's his goal. If the players never shy away from it. They're always ready to go in preseason. I'm not a big fan of it because I think like the program could show improvement. You could win 20, 21 games and not make the tournament in this day and age, but that would be a 7-game swing. Or a 7-win swing. I think it would look great. So I'm not a big fan of it, but these guys aren't shying away from it.
Mario, I know you were here talking with some of the players as well, and Donnie Freeman and J.J. Starling, they're the only 2 returning players from last year's squad. It seems like that factored into their decision. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like they feel like they've got some unfinished business to attend.
Yeah, especially Donnie Freeman, and had his season cut short last year, and a lot of expectations coming into the year with Donnie thinking maybe he might be a one-and-done type guy. Now he's coming back to prove that, those last 5 games that I had before I got hurt where I was really kind of finding my groove, that's going to be the 30 games and hopefully 30 plus this year. As far as JJ, he grew up here in Syracuse. He grew up in Baldwinsville, wants to return this program to where you see all these banners in this gym, back to the NCAA tournament, and wants to go out the right way being his senior year.
Maddie, we've talked a lot about this freshman class in the offseason led by Kyan Anthony and Sadiq White in particular, and I think the expectation is those guys probably aren't going to be starters. And in a way, I think that's probably a good thing. They don't have to come here and be the savior, right? They can come here and just fit in. What are your thoughts on this freshman class and those 2 guys in particular?
I think even just having them here in the program, especially Kyan, Carmelo, the Anthony family in general, I think that, going into the season, there's so many expectations, high expectations for this team. To be able to, bring in fans that maybe towards the end of last season pittered away, maybe didn't come to some of the games. You have someone that, is related to Carmelo Anthony, the history there. Even just having them in the program on the bench, having the fan engagement, I think that says a lot about, where this program can kind of go.
You look at the transfers coming into this program, Mike, and it seems like, and Adrian Autry has said this, they wanted to get bigger, they wanted to get more athletic. It seems like he's accomplished both of those things. When you look at the transfers coming in, who stands out to you in this group?
Nathan George, the point guard from Georgia Tech, hands down. There's a lot of other guys to be interested or excited about. Nate Kings from Oregon State, the 3-point shooter on the wing. William Kyle III from UCLA will play center. But I'd go back to Nathan George, a 2-year starter in the ACC at Georgia Tech, led the league in assists last year, and he's been named captain along with J.J. Starling. I mean, J.J. Starling, we get it. He's a senior. He's been in the program. This will be his 3rd year. He also has another year in the ACC as a freshman at Notre Dame. But Nate George is a newcomer to the program, and he's made a captain. I think the reasons why are he's a veteran, he's got experience, and the experience is in the ACC.
And does that indicate to you, the fact that they got Nathan George and they beat out other big-time programs like North Carolina, for instance, who really wanted Nathan George as well, does that indicate to you that there are more resources being dedicated to the portal and maybe more so than we've seen the last couple of years financially?
I think it's a sign of that. I think it's also a sign of knowing exactly who you wanted when the portal opened, not after the fact. You knew you had a guy. You went right after him. There's still a little bit of recruiting aspect. It's not all about who writes the biggest check. There's some connections there. He's from Toronto. They know his AAU coach. There's a connection there too through Tyler Ennis's father. So there's a big connection. So doesn't hurt either. He's from a huge family, and now they'll be able to come to games all the easier.
When we look at who we're projecting to be in the starting lineup, I think it's certainly Nathan George, J.J. Starling, Donnie Freeman. Do we assume Nate Kings is going to be that other forward position?
I would say yes, him or the Betsy kid and Tyler Betsy, the transfer from Cincinnati, and maybe you bring him off the bench. But he's got size. He's a 6'8" kid who can shoot the ball from the outside. Like when Mike touched on it, you knew who you were going after in the portal. You're bringing in guys from UCLA, Oregon State, you're not bringing in guys from lower tier programs. Not to
Georgia State.
Not to knock that, but that's the honest truth. Like, these guys have played at the level of the Power 5 conferences, and now you got a starting lineup that I think fits what Red wants. He's talked about that numerous times in his press conference, fitting his up and down style of how he wants to play, especially with the forwards that he brought in, and having a point guard like Nathan George that can distribute the basketball to guys like a JJ and Donnie.
Maddie, I was going to ask you that play off what Mario said about it. To me, anyway, it feels like this roster is certainly the most talented that Red has had, but it seems like the pieces fit the best since he's been here, and it, in terms of the style he wants to play, he wants to get up and down, he wants to get after you defensively, and it seems like they've got the pieces to do that this year.
Yeah, and I think you saw it last year. The transition, the defense, it was, a lot of people wanted to score. Whether the shots were falling or not, I think a lot of people were kind of offense-minded more. You have the athleticism, and even Red was talking about, the work that they put in the offseason to make sure that these guys are healthy. It's going to be a big thing to make sure that you can have all those talented guys on the court at the same time, but also to make sure they keep up with the pace of play and bringing in, guys from big programs. ACC, is fast. It's high-intensity play, making sure that they can kind of keep up with that, I think is going to be huge. I think that they have brought in a lot of guys like that.
Mike, what's your biggest question mark about this team?
Oh man, that's a good question. It's so hard. There's so many questions because I haven't seen these guys yet.
The 11 guys.
We're looking at names and numbers on paper, and is it really going to translate to the court? I think one concern is three-point shooting. I think they've added some guys who on paper, we know they're shooters. Nate Kings from Oregon State, 44% from three last year. But, J.J. Starling's coming off a year where he didn't shoot the ball well from three. Is he going to improve out there?
All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk about the women. And, Maddie, you look at a roster that has had an overhaul as well. They don't have 11 new guys coming in, but half the team is new this year for Felicia Leggett-Jack off a squad that, finished below 500 last year. But the transfers are from Texas and USC and Auburn. And to me, again, we haven't seen them in action together yet, but to me, that's a good sign.
I also think, too, when you have, you mentioned they have a lot of people coming in, you have two of your top 5 scorers coming back. You're missing a Kyra Wood, you're missing a Georgia Woolley, who are not only, great point scorers, but they're also, high intensity on the court. To be able to bring in, other players like that and have that leadership, from a Sophie Burrow or a Kira Scott, I think it's going to be really important, and it'll be interesting to kind of, I don't think you can replace a Georgia Woolley or a Kyra Wood, but it'll be interesting to see who kind of, is going to be that presence on the court, getting after the ball, offense and on defense.
Yeah, this team had a tough time replacing Deasia Fair. Mm-hmm. They passed the torch to Georgia Woolley. I think she found out how difficult it is to be the new number 1 on a squad. Is Sophie Burrows capable of, nobody can take on that Deasia Fair role, but is Sophie Burrows capable of being the top scorer on this team?
She's capable of being the top scorer. She's capable of averaging 16, 17 points a game the way that she shoots the ball from the outside. It's getting her the ball, and she's not someone that I don't think is going to take you off the dribble and score like a Deasia Fair could turn you upside down and then pull up and shoot over you. She needs her teammates to help her out, but she is a deadly shooter from behind the arc, and hopefully maybe Angelica Velez at point can distribute the basketball a little more to her. She saw some international play this summer playing with the Puerto Rican team, so hopefully that helps her coming into this season.
The women are picked to finish 13th in the preseason ACC media poll. The guys are picked to finish 9th in the preseason ACC media poll. Mike, I know you have a vote in the men's poll, as do I. How difficult is it in this day and age of the transfer portal when there's so many new pieces for every team, it seems like? How difficult are these preseason polls to vote in?
It's impossible.
Yeah, right.
It's so hard. And not only all the new pieces, but it's now you have 18 teams. Yeah. All right, go ahead and educate yourself about 18 different teams, and some are in California. Everybody's got new faces. Nobody's got retention. Basically, I start with the 3 obvious ones at the top, and then I skip over and I go all the way down to the bottom and get the 3 bad teams that are obvious, and then in the middle, it's like, well, no one's really going to blame me if I'm wrong here.
Unless they're Virginia fans, and then they hamper you if they're not the top 2, which I found out pretty quickly.
But you just have to start looking. Okay, player retention. Are there any starters? How many players have racked in the program? And then high-rated transfers. And apples to apples transfers too. Those are the ones you're like, okay, someone comes from the Big 12 to the ACC. Someone comes within the ACC to the ACC. It's a lot easier figuring that out than someone coming from the Metro Atlantic
You're right.
You know, up to the ACC, and you just don't know. Some of those guys hit, but some of them won't, and it's a guesswork. It's just guesswork.
Oh, we got about a minute left. When we look at this men's schedule, two really tough stretches. They've got that stretch in November where they go out to Vegas, and then they come back and they play Tennessee in the ACC SEC Challenge, and then the whole month of February is they've got the top 5 teams in that media poll all on the road, plus North Carolina twice. With all that being said, prediction time here. Michael, start with you. Do you think this team gets to 20-plus wins? Do you think they get to the NCAA tournament this year?
I think they're right at 20 wins, and that's bubblicious.
Yep.
It's going to depend
had to
on.
mention that word, Mike.
I know, but we haven't for a while. In a way, it's kind of fun to go back to it. I think they can get there. A lot will come down to those games in Vegas, plus the home game in Tennessee immediately after that trip. Can they get 2 wins out of 4?
Maddie,
If they do, they're in.
How do you see this season playing itself out?
I mean, it's one of those things where, if everyone can stay healthy, I think they can, kind of get around that 20 area, but you just don't know.
Yeah.
And especially with the pace of play, how many games you play, they're playing good teams. It's not like they can kind of take a little slump where maybe, JJ's not feeling super well, he sits on the bench. You're going to kind of need those key guys to be on the court and be playing their hardest constantly throughout the season. I think if they can stay healthy, they can get there and be a contender, but you just don't know heading into the season. Fingers crossed everybody stays as healthy as possible.
All right, Mario, what do you say?
I was way off maybe on the football one, so someone went down with an injury and the quarterback situation hasn't been the greatest, but health being a key issue here, I think this team can win 25 games with a Nathan George, with a JJ, with a Donnie. I think the talent is out there on that team. It's those guys have to stay healthy.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a little on the
He said
ears.
20
Did he say 25?
I think he did say 20. That's a bold prediction.
25 is in the tournament.
We're excited to clip it when it happens.
25 safely. 25 might be, a top 5 or 6 seed in the tournament, depending on who you beat. Mario's been known to give some bold predictions
I like it.
on the show.
I've also been known to be way off, so look out, people.
The women, by the way, coming off a 12-win
Yes.
season, looking to improve upon that. And Felicia Leggett, Jack, I know she likes this squad and hoping to make some strides this year. And that's the goal for both these programs.
It is, but the
get back
ACC
to
is
the
so
tournament.
tough of a comp in both, like men's and women's. When you look at the women's and the teams, will SU be an NCAA tournament team on the women's side? I don't think so, but I think maybe 17 wins is an improvement with that team.
A lot of excitement centered around both these teams heading into a new season. We are out of time. We appreciate you watching. For Mike, for Maddie, for Mario, I'm Stephen Fati. Be sure to tune in to CTV all season long for our college basketball coverage. Thanks for watching, everybody. Enjoy the start of the season.